We good go?
Yeah.
All right, let's call this special budget meeting to order, please, and you all stand. Join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you everyone for attending tonight. You can see a quorum here. So I'm going to jump right into this and go over this is the first reading for the 2024 Switzerland County budget.
You need to open a public hearing.
Ma'am,
You need to open a public
I
hearing.
need to open a public hearing.
Correct. In case anyone wants to, and ask them if there's anyone who wants to speak.
See what's it want. So does anybody have anything to say concerning this? Just
Put in the minutes. Yeah. Ask him 3 times. Please.
Yes, ma'am. This is such a learning experience.
Just making sure.
Again, okay, again, second time, any questions pertaining to the advertised budget that was in paper and all that? Still hearing nothing, one more time, third time, any questions pertaining to this? This is really kind of fun, you know. that.
It is, and it's like this in every county, and now you need, hearing nothing, you need to accept a motion, close the public hearing.
Hearing nothing on this, no complaints or anything, no questions, I will entertain a motion to close this special budget.
Public hearing.
Public hearing.
I make motion to close the public hearing.
I recognize a motion by Lisa. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
I have a second by Andy. All in favor of the motion as presented, please raise your hand. It's unanimous. This meeting's close. You know, this is still public hearing. 4 or 5 more times I'll get this right.
You will.
All right, so now I'll go ahead and open the regular meeting. We ran through the pledge, all that, so nothing else we need to do other than, let's just go right into the agenda, correct? Okay. Approval of the minutes from the regular meeting, Wednesday, August the 8th. Any questions, comments? Hearing none, I will entertain a motion to accept the regular meeting minutes.
I'll second.
Lance motion. Lance made a motion to accept the minutes from the regular meeting from August the 9th. Lisa second. All in favor, please raise your hand. It's unanimous. Would you please pass that down to Todd? Lisa. Unanimous. Okay, the next one on the agenda is the approval of the special meeting on Monday, August 28th. Any questions pertaining to that?
You're doing the 28th right now?
The 10th,
28th.
it said the 10th and the 28th. Yeah, there's one.
Well, there's, yeah.
It's a bad one
From the budget
Let's-
hearing.
You know what, let's just do them both together.
I'm gonna abstain on the 28th with all
Well,
of
you just sign off what you need to. I'm gonna go ahead and put them together. Let's just put them together.
You need separated because I would hear you.
Yeah, there's 2 separate meetings.
Okay, all right. I like to work just like I was doing. Okay, that's fine. Yeah, that's why I've got you, lots of credit, but that's what we do here. Okay, special meeting August 28th. Any changes, questions?
I'll make a motion.
Lisa,
second.
Lisa made a motion to approve August 20th special meeting. Todd second. All in favor of that, please raise your hands. It's unanimous with 2 abstentions.
3.
3 abstentions. I stand corrected again. Okay, the next one on the agenda is a special meeting on August 20, it says August 10th.
Yeah, that's right.
We're good August 10th. Okay. We must have 28 first.
Yeah, you're fine.
I'm backwards. Okay, for August 10th. Any questions, changes, comments on the August 10th special meeting?
I'll make a motion.
Okay, Andy made a motion for that. Do I have a second?
Yeah, Lisa.
Lisa, second. All in favor of the motion to accept the August 10th minutes as presented, please raise your hands. It's unanimous. Is that all done that way? Hey. So 28. Still here. Okay. All right. Business is none. New business, John Bond is not here yet. So what we'll
Are you
do,
skipping old business?
there is
I didn't
nothing on
have
the
any
agenda
that I
showing
knew
no
of.
business,
I
but
would-
I,
I would like to entertain a couple things on old business.
okay.
Opioid funding, have you filed the paperwork with the state? How did you
Yeah.
mark that?
There's no, plan in order and no money's been spent.
Okay, so
We need to, go ahead.
by the IC code 4615-4, we sent out, or I sent out on behalf of council to all notifying parties, sheriff, SER, prosecutor, health, school, and received 2 responses back from them. Prosecutor and sheriff, that at the point in time, prosecutor didn't even get the letter. Sheriff had no interest at the time and did not hear from the other 3. Greg Coy formed a committee, which to my knowledge, we've never heard anything on that committee.
No, there hasn't been any response.
So as of the IC code, because Gail has marked it in the right way, that we haven't used the money, then I'm making a motion that the council take over the funds for the restricted and the unrestricted, and we figure out what to do with it, because if we don't, it goes to a suspended account on the second time that we get new monies in for the opioid funding, and that needs to be done within 45 days.
And so the money we got for this year, we've already got the money for.
Yeah, I know, but you have to use that money. We have to tell the state what we're using that money with by close of this year in order, before they will take it and put it into a suspended account, because we're doing nothing with it, which is even harder.
Do we have to
Get
get
it
it
out.
out?
We have to
Has be
notify them
allotted for,
Has to
like
be
what we're going, just
what
like
we're
you
going
did for
to
the
use it for.
ARPA money.
I mean, it's 80,000. We should be getting another,
It may be 23 or 25,
I
I
think
think.
that's 20, yeah, 20, something somewhere in
But-
that neighborhood.
I
Can
think
we-
that was 100, right? That's what that was, if I remember right.
Sure it is.
So your motion is to move it to us so that we can allocate it out.
Well, we
By
can't
code-
move it out of the.
No, you
fund.
can't move. No, we would be the decision
But we're
makers.
responsible for it.
Yep.
Okay.
Can we do that, or does it have to be, does the board have to be members of different?
No one
commissioners,
has,
council, I don't know, I haven't read into it. but it's
I've talked to them, this week
talked to
on Monday.
the state.
So it's the Family and Social Services Administration that runs this. So they're the ones that, being that nobody came to us, we did send out a request for information to anybody that wanted to use it. Nobody did that. Just like Greg Coy sent out an email that he was forming a committee. We didn't hear anything on that.
I don't think
So
you
now
got any response from it, is my understanding, but I'm not 100%.
So now we can make a judgment as to what, how to use the money, utilize that money. And there's multiple things we can do with that money.
Local.
You have to remember,
She wants to make an offer.
yes, you have to remember that there is a restricted and an unrestricted fund balance. The unrestricted, we're pretty much to do anything. But that's the smaller of the two.
And we would always have final decision anyway, at any time, correct? I mean, as being the
Who brought this
principal body,
Who brought this up originally? I remember this met this.
Jeff.
the probation department, originally, yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's.
They will actually use the probation.
And he wanted the money,
You wanted all, yeah.
he wanted all of it, and we told him to go back and make sure everybody was notified of it. And that's where it's at.
Yeah, but he wanted it for the building down there and they've already
For
signed that.
office.
Fixed to the other building.
Okay.
And that's all changed.
Yeah, so that's all done.
That's an all good point.
What will we put that money into, general fund?
I think that's,
It
I think
has-
that's for,
You can't.
Well, it has to stay, it has to stay in its own.
in its fund.
We just
It can't
have to
go into
decide how to
general.
allocate it out.
That's right.
I think,
And there's several
But my
places
thing
it
is-
can go.
He's reached out to these people. Nobody's made an attempt to want it, but if they don't fully understand what it is, they get some letter that they get probably, the school, how many letters do you think the school gets? A week saying, hey, there's money out there, but if you don't get the right person to act on it, they're not gonna, it's gonna fall through the cracks, basically.
I unfortunately, I'll be watching this.
Yeah, I mean, we've got a changeover at SCR with Emily, so I'm not sure if she's aware or not aware, but we do have a closing amount of date where we got.
Why'd you say 45 days?
Because that's what they're looking at. We have to announce to them
45
how
days
we're
would be
going
the-
to.
Into the quarter, I
You
believe.
don't have to spend it by that.
No,
You
you
have
just
to
have to
report
say,
how
hey,
you're
we
going
do
to
have a
use our
plan.
plan.
Otherwise, she made me believe that if it goes into a suspended account, then we've got a lot of work to do to get it back out of it. It looks like we have done nothing.
Maybe another email to all those parties that we did before, might juggle people, see if there's any.
We did send an email?
Yeah,
Yeah, Matt, I was copied on
Yeah,
it.
you-
When we tried to form the committee and all that, and there was just, I'm sure Ron, it sounds like you.
Yeah.
I'm sure people can use some of this money.
Yeah, but like I said, some of these people, you have to meet with them face to face. They're not gonna pay any attention to, you know what I mean? How many emails do you guys get?
I get.
Way too many.
Yeah.
Put
I know.
that on the record. I get way too many damn
I'm gonna
emails.
say Andy wants
Thank
more
you.
emails on the record.
I don't mind the emails at all.
Yeah, but you look at them, you
So-
take the time, but if,
Yeah.
or they may go into your spam and you never look at them or.
Man, why don't we do that again? Why
Yeah.
don't we send out another follow-up email to, if you
I
still
don't,
got the.
I like Matt's idea.
I mean,
Just us just deciding to allocate it. I think we should. And there's a
I
lot of
made the
places,
motion, so you can vote on the motion and then we can go back to that.
there's a lot of places that we
Good
can
one.
put it.
Is there, there's no three attempt rule on?
Not on here.
Yeah. I hope not. I've go through this a few times.
I'll second Matt's motion.
Okay.
That we allocated.
Well, still some
What,
discussion.
I'm gonna make sure,
Yeah, I want to get this
There's
done.
our
my-
interesting.
my motion was to put together an advisory group that says, okay, let's identify what we can do with this money. And then come back to, that group would come back to council and say, this is where the best thing it should be allocated to.
So,
It would probably work in the same sense with Gail. I mean, we can
Who would you?
form that advisory group and then notify the five again and see if anybody's interested. They can come to a meeting. Not gonna chase them all over the county.
Yeah.
No,
They all got the letter.
we're not gonna beg them to take the money. If they
No.
don't, then we can,
Then in October, we would appropriate the money at that meeting.
We would say, this is what we want to do with the money. Maybe we want to give 20,000 to the sheriff's department for protection gear.
do you have to have it all allocated?
Yeah, we do.
What, or just the percentage of it?
You have to have
You
it
know what I
all
mean?
allocated.
You can always amend your plan if things
Yep.
change.
This is kind of like the ARPA funds, where you have to have a plan.
Yeah,
Yes.
you have to
Yep.
have a
And
plan
then
of what you're gonna
do
do.
the plan exactly, you can amend it later.
Put your plan together.
Advisory group.
Things always change, and so you could amend.
How we're gonna put the advisory group from this board or other people?
I think we could do it either way. You can do it from this board and notify those five departments one more time to see if they're interested. If they are, come to a meeting and then we go from there.
Make a decision next month.
What I want to have happen is lose
I don't know.
80,000 goes into
There's
suspended.
prices when you spend it.
Right.
You know. So.
And then you probably don't get next year's either, I guess.
No, you get next year's and we go through the same routine again.
You get next year's.
Allocated.
not-
So, I mean, great question. So if we deem that the 23, and I think it is around 23 for the next payment.
Yeah, it's,
If we said, we did it in percentages, let's say 20% to the sheriff, 20% to the school. On the 23, the school would get 20%, sheriff would get 20%. We write it up that way. So we wouldn't have to form another advisory group.
And the places that we give the money to, they have to spend it a certain way.
some of the funds will, some of it's restricted.
Yeah.
Restricted has to be.
So you would almost have to have,
Learning said,
No.
if we get it to Ron Height down there, he could do We give them money to do a class on opioid prevention.
But he's going to explain that, right?
Yeah, they can, but there's consultants you can
So
hire.
you
to
almost
come
have
in
to
and-
have a plan for the restricted and a plan for the,
Right,
un-
restricted is actually a lot easier.
Well, I can work with the school.
There's a lot of.
I mean, the money's there. It just needs to be,
Drug.
What's it exactly called? Opioid what?
that's an opioid grant, basically.
Opioid.
It's
Opioid
listed as
settlement, I
opioid
guess.
settlement fund.
Yeah, so that's fine.
And what you want to look at, you want to tell Rod, look at IC code 4-6-15-4.
Or dash what? Sorry.
4-6-15-4. If he could do an in-service day down there with the teachers
Mhm.
and then have a
Luncheon.
luncheon for the kid, you could do it. Think of that money.
Awareness things, buying Narcan.
SER could buy Narcan.
And the sheriff's department has to have Narcan also.
But all this stuff's gonna have to be detailed before it's submitted, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And even training on how to do it, how to use the Narcan.
So we're going to form advisory group, Matt, we want to kind of spearhead this.
That's fine.
All right?
We
Andy,
need
you know, with me?
I don't know if we need an advisory group or whatever, like, I would take care of the school, if somebody would take care of SER, if somebody would take care of the sheriff's department. I know you've been working with the sheriff's department a little bit. Just, you know what I mean?
That's,
If you want to reach out to
I don't-
SER.
I just don't want to lose the 80.
I don't want to, okay, let's do that. I'll reach out to Ryan and
Somebody needs to reach out to the judge's office, the probation office, those two.
I'm sorry.
The
Prosecutor,
judge's office and the
Judge.
prosecutor's office.
Cool.
Dearborn County has their own committee.
Mm-hmm.
They determined, but I don't know who it's made up of. But, I mean, I don't,
I believe they
think
used
that
one
it's
for
a-
every, they went kind of the way that Greg Coy went with, trying to get all of the departments, but I don't know. I have never heard whether that,
nobody,
anybody
sorry
responded.
about the response that you got.
Andy, you
from
got,
your email.
Yes.
you got sheriff's department.
Sorry, I just threw you under the bus, Yara.
No, well, you're working on some other stuff, so you got sheriff's department. You work Christian more.
Well, we got a motion on the floor, so I need to get that out.
Okay. You know what? Again, Sam, correct.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's a motion on the floor to create an advisory group for, reach out to these people over this opioid settlement fund. Okay, we got it set. Okay. All in favor of creating this motion?
Yeah.
Please raise your hands.
I think they're on there.
Opposed? No. Now we do.
What was your motion?
We're creating this. You guys are killing me, okay? All right, and you want to get with school, I'll get with Judge Coy and prosecutor and. what was she got?
I'll take SER.
Okay, you got SCR? Okay, you got sheriff. Is there anybody else we got to touch base with?
The extension office possibly.
Extension office?
I mean, maybe they could do something.
He's aware of it.
Rangers,
Right.
Yep.
you know what I mean?
Tom,
I got
guess
it.
what? You just got to know maybe a contact, okay? There, okay, so Lance Sheriff,
I'd have to go back and look at the list. Who
Okay.
knows?
yeah, and then, well, if there's anybody left, Lisa, right?
Yeah, if
Okay.
there's anybody else on the.
Third, okay. Me, I got judge, prosecutor. And,
Okay.
yeah, you know, I'm going to.
All right.
Any other old business?
One more time. We appropriated $25,000 for a consultant to go to SER. That consultant turned in his report to the county back in early June. And I have personally had people ask, what is the story there? Because there's been a lot of movement at SER. I know that that's under Jerry Monjar's authority. He's been appointed as the SER. We just need to hear what that report is. On behalf of the taxpayers, it's their money. We need to understand what took place down. So I don't care if the commissioners do it at their meeting, but I do think it needs to be done in the next couple meetings here.
A copy of the report, so if you're.
Just
What?
a reading. I don't
I
think
think they
it
should do the reading of the report and we should be all understand Have we fixed the problems down there? And what were the recommendations? So if you could pass that on to the commissioners. Formally, I don't know if that needs to be formally from us, but it is something that has been brought up to me by multiple.
Public does want to know about some things, about issues, so. Okay. Anything else, Matthew?
Nope.
Any more old business then? Okay, folks. We'll move on to new business then. John Bond is still not here, so. Ms. Karen Hall. What can we do for you, ma'am?
I
Hold on, we do for you.
need your all's help to approve our township budget. I have one volunteer fireman and another member of the board is an immediate family member, so they can't vote on the budget.
Mhm.
So we haven't had an increase for 3 years, and the increase is only $1,905. So the state says we have to have you approve it.
It now becomes a binding review, right?
I'm
I
assuming.
think
yes.
this,
And then
usually I,
It's its own
when did,
separate meeting.
when did you advertise a public hearing?
Yeah.
It's advertised on Gateway. And we
For what
had an
day?
advisory board meeting Monday.
For tonight? So you need to open a public hearing for this.
Oh, sorry, Randy.
Yeah, they need to be, okay, what's happened here, when a township can't vote for their own budget, it becomes a binding unit. And so in a binding unit, this board has to hold a public hearing for that binding unit, hear things from the taxpayers again, and then you close it. And then on adoption, you'll adopt this on the night you adopt your budgets. I presume you have that date in there also.
Yes, next month.
Is it legal to pause our current meeting or as?
You can call a public hearing in the middle of it. You don't have to pause it, just open a public.
Go ahead and do it right now.
Okay.
Does he have to have 3 times?
I'll tell you what, you guys are running. Okay, so I'm on pause, right now, go ahead and pause the perfect regular meeting. And I'm opening public hearing to hear
You're having a public
Budget.
hearing for Pleasant Township.
township, the Pleasant Township budget. So, okay, so. Is that correct? Jesus. Yeah,
They gotta ask 3 times.
I gotta ask 3 times. Okay, so this is, now we're back into the public hearing for the Pleasant Township budget. Okay. All looking over everything here. Any comments? First time, I guess, from the audience or council?
The general budget was the only thing increased. The township assistance and the firefighting and the casino fund stayed the same.
Gotta ask 3 times. Okay. Second time, strike 2. Anybody else? Third time, I will ask if anybody has any comments or any more to discuss about the township budget.
Since we can't see all of your stuff, since you're normal, is this adopting within levy?
Yes.
After asking 3 times and hearing no issues, no anything, I will entertain a motion to accept this budget as presented.
You're gonna close the
Close the meeting.
Public meeting.
Close the
I thought we
public
had to go
hearing.
ahead and prove this.
No, you'll adopt this when you adopt your own.
Next month I'll be back.
To be
We
back.
get to do this again.
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
Thank you. It's a second, so. Let's make a motion to close this public hearing on the Pleasant Township budget. Lisa's second. All in favor, please raise your hand. We don't have to sign anything tonight.
No, next month.
Karen will be back next meeting. Hopefully I don't have to estimate that 3 times again.
Sorry about that.
He did.
We're all learning. I've not done this
I thought he
before
did.
either.
Telling you.
Yeah,
Next time.
okay.
Thank you all.
Thank you,
Thank
Karen.
you.
Thanks, Karen. Oh, my goodness, people. I swear. Okay.
Too hard for himself.
This is a little different, yes, I am. It's a little different, so, okay. Kathy Slauson,
And I brought my professional.
you okay?
Sorry, can't-
Got my professional.
That's quite a buildup. And I will say, I don't see you having to entertain any executive sessions during this or any kind of public hearing. Or what.
I don't have to ask you 3 times.
You won't have to ask anything 3 times. In fact, you've probably heard this stuff a couple of times already. It's just with this Health First Indiana, we need to go through and make sure that we presented this in front of the county council. This is almost the final date on this budget, which is subject to change next year as this is going on. But we get a few more days and the state will have an opportunity to tweak this from within what we have. So basically, the stuff we talked about when it came to the regular budget hearing, let's see if I usually have these kind of torn apart. Okay, so one of the things, of course, we talked about was the registrar position. And so within this, let me back up a minute. I should say that the original amount was estimated, the low end was 149,000 and some change. After the September 1 date where every county had the opportunity to opt in, opt out, we got 6,000 more bucks. There was Johnson County with Greenwood, which of course is a bigger county, did not decide to opt in. The other, just few counties, it was something like 98% of the counties opted in. Just a handful
Six
did not.
Six
Yeah,
that did not.
6 did not.
Why would they not?
Some didn't want to do the extra paperwork. Some didn't want the strings that they feel will come with the money in the future. And they're gonna sit back and wait and see what happens and maybe because they have the ability to opt in next year.
Yes.
And the big county, Johnson County, said when they were asked about this, said that they are already doing the core services. They didn't want to join at this time, but that did not mean that they cannot opt in for 2025.
Right.
So any county has the opportunity to opt out next year or opt in for 2025. So we've got
And the
quite a
money
bit,
doubles.
Yeah.
The distribution doubles. next
essentially ours would be about double for next year, yeah. So anyway, we've got quite a bit of work in this, but like I say, we did come up with 6,000 more bucks, which we're going to try to put to good use. So let me backtrack. Let me go back to where I was. We were talking about the registrar position, which we are not hiring the food inspector, which is on a grant that we won't be receiving anymore. So basically our food inspector, other than the small number of food establishments around inspect, did all kinds of other stuff within the department. And most of those are within Kathy's list for our hiring that are registrar positions or registrar duties. So she would be helping with vital records and answering the phone and on and on and on, doing things like that. So that was 35,000 bucks. So that's 35,000 bucks. If you'll remember, when we came to the budget hearing, we were talking about, we were hoping, we put that on our county budget. We basically talked about that with our county budget, but it's looking like we're not going to need that. That's going to come from Health First Indiana for next year and should be for the year
So
after
you
that.
won't need the registrar?
We don't need the registrar. We won't need to take it out of county
You don't
budget.
need the.
That'll be coming from the state. And you'd asked about the benefits and things, taxes, at FICA and things on top of that. We took a stab at that and I don't know if we have an exact amount. We came up with about 6,000 bucks. So you'll see that under, if I can find, help me, Kathy, where is that? Okay, second one down, it's right underneath that. Yeah, employee benefits, blah, 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 blah. So registrar new hire, so we have FICA, group insurance, blah, blah, blah. And we've, like I say, just had a way to kind of try to estimate that 6,000 bucks. So at that point in time, when we were working with the county budget, we didn't know for sure whether we were going to, how we were going with these dollars and all, but we're trying to include that on Health First, which is perfectly fine with the Health First Indiana people. What were the other couple of big things? One of the other big things, and I forget, 10 or 11,000 bucks in there, was a hypertension nurse, which I don't know, you would remember Dorothy Burley.
Yeah.
And Dorothy Burley, I was looking something else up today, and Dorothy started that in 1980. And within the first quarter, she was doing something like 600 blood pressure screenings a month on a federal grant. She did around Patriot, she did the shoe factory, she did the plastics molding and all that. So we're attempting to do something like that for this next year also. So we'll be around Patriot. We talked to the East Enterprise Fire Department about going out there and other areas around the county. So anyway, that's one of our bigger ones. The other one is amounts to over $20,000. I forgot exactly. I can certainly look it up and it's there on your ledger. Would be YMCA memberships for indigent children. So instead of the scholarships that are coming out of the meager YMCA budget, we're attempting to be able to offer some of these indigent scholarships. And then, of course, we're responsible for this. This isn't just a gimme. We're responsible for key performance indicators such that we'll be able to track and see, has this improved health in Switzerland County? If it does, that's great. If it doesn't, year 2025 might be a different ballgame on this. And I'm expecting it to be tweaked somewhat for 2025. What was another big one? Drawing a blank right now. Oh, one of the other things that's big around the state of Indiana right now is a way to advertise or to get basically in some fashion, get out what the health department's doing. We've had a little bit of problem with that as far as trying to do the newspapers, Facebook. It doesn't seem like vaccination times seem to reach people well and all that. So one of the big things has been signage. And so we're anticipating putting some type of electric sign out on that corner. I don't know if any of you have been by River Road and 129, but lately the county commissioners came in, and that was actually county property. They came in and bush hogged that with a ditch bank mower, and they cleaned it like it does, doesn't it?
It looks great. I mean, you can see traffic coming all out.
And you can thank Anthony and Jamie Peters got right on that. And anyway, we're going to try to move that in a few feet. We barely scratched the surface on trying to figure that thing out. The success of the year was I actually got a hold of somebody at Duke Energy and talked to them about sending an engineer out today. So I've accomplished that in only 3 phone calls, obviously. Well, only. I was expecting a lot more than that. So anyway, they're coming out. We're going to discuss how that goes. I know most of those are their own meter and one thing or another, so we'll discuss how that thing would work. We're a little short on that right now. So if you guys don't find someplace to put all of your opioid refinancing for the county, let us know. We can use about another 10,000 bucks on something like that.
Doc, I think you are eligible to ask for unrestricted funds. So
Is it restricted or unrestricted?
You could have either.
You can have either.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if that's something you want,
It's unrestricted.
Make it easily.
Yeah. Probably both. Yeah.
Well, I mean, almost everybody has those things. Jefferson County has one, of course. It's on Green Road. It's not right at the health department. Just when you drive around the state, you'll look and there'll be some kind of vaccination clinic by on those. And yep, it's I think it's going to be a good thing for us.
you want to be included on
Yep.
those? Okay.
Yeah. I think it'd be great.
I can.
I think it'd be a great thing. Yeah, absolutely. Any question for on these line items? Like I say, about a week ago, I was really familiar with them. I haven't looked at it for about a week, but yeah.
Know that, so we can adopt, they won't be able to adopt anything different than what we submitted and advertised.
Oh.
Any changes will have to be additional appropriated next year.
Yeah, my understanding is all we're here for is to make sure you guys have seen this, and we will
So
be
that's,
providing
that
minutes.
extra 6,000 that you got, you'll be able to request an additional next January for it.
Yes,
Where you,
Yeah.
because we can only adopt what was.
and actually what we
what
did with that
budgeted
is
for.
Oh, that was the other cool thing on this is the capital expense. So we could go up to 10% on capital expenses. So before, like almost 150,000, I had it written 149,507 was the low end of that. So we were gonna receive the 149,507. So we immediately put 10% of that in capital expenses that could be spent later. We can accumulate those and spend those later. So that's, when you look at that, there's the 35,000 that's not going to be an expenditure from the county for the registrar. We're even trying to scoot the benefits into that. 15 more thousand for capital expenses for the health department or medical office building or whatever down there it's going to need over the years. Anything else?
Do you know what the Switzerland County's match is for next year? It
Switzerland
falls
County's
right
match.
off in 25.
Let's see, that should be, so we're talking 300,000, 80%, 20%, 60,000. Our
This year.
match will be
That'd be
60,000
next-
for 2025.
25, but what about
The
this year?
match for this year is
It's
just
The average
because,
of our of 3 years of your budget. I didn't know if you knew what that number was or
no,
not.
there won't be a match our match is just basically,
We have to make sure that we appropriate at least, that we spend county money at least 1/3, or the average of the last 3 years.
and that's our county budget.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
that's
we're
our county
there.
budget. Yeah,
Okay.
that's our county budget, yeah. But for 2025, it'll be $60,000.
Plus, just so you know, you won't get the local health maintenance anymore.
That's because it won't exist.
It exists if you didn't opt in.
For
And then you don't
one
get
year, I
the,
don't think the second does.
yeah, I don't know about that, but it still exists for this year, 24 and 25, if you did not opt in. If you opted in, that's gone. So I think it was 36,000.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
There's another one too, the trust.
The local health maintenance trust. There are 2 funds that are going away, and it's a much smaller amount.
Yeah, 11,000 something.
Yeah.
What they're attempting
The
to do
total
with
of the
that.
2 are 50,000 or less.
Yeah, what they're
We're way
attempting to do with
ahead.
that is that stuff's gonna disappear as you go.
But we have to spend the money out in the fund that it's in. So they'll request appropriations every year until the money that's currently in that fund is gone, those 2 funds.
And then at some point, we'll need to do, I guess, like a salary ordinance change from like food inspector to this new registrar.
Well,
At
when
some
you,
point, we need-
when you do your salary ordinance for 24, then that's where you'll adopt the salaries that you decide to do for the health department.
But we have
Because
had.
just because it's in here doesn't mean, I'm not being a devil's advocate here, but just because it's requested, doesn't mean you have to give it.
Right, right.
But
I just didn't know the timing when this would start.
in your salary ordinance for 24, so when you do it this fall or winter, before the 31st of December, that's where these salaries for this fund will be replaced.
Okay.
And the registrar has been a position, that we've checked that with our Southern Region Director, who has taken that to the top of the Indiana Department of Health. And we can reenact that again, and it'll still work as a new hire for us. So this being a new hire, then it's going to be within Health First Indiana.
Okay, let me
The
get,
other thing I want to mention, and he's doing, the budget, the way he talks is doing exactly what it's meant to do. This is to supplement the health expenditures in this county, not just supplant them. That's in the legislation because they were afraid they would give out this money and then counties would try to cut out their health fund and not spend that health fund. So the money has to be used to supplement the care and raise the quality of health in Switzerland County, not supplant it. So we can't replace something else with this money, is what I'm trying to get at.
will we be doing 2 salaries? Will there still be the health officer salary and the registrar?
Be a health officer salary, there'll be a registrar, there'll be a sanitarian, and hopefully we get something going for the health nurse, which you all probably heard she's
And then it's an administrator.
an administrator. Y'all probably heard that she had a stroke, and we're battling to try to figure out the deal as far as having an RN down there right now. There again, there's some state issues with that as far as you can't use a medical assistant without being supervised by an RN. We can use an LPN. We've been all over the place trying to figure out how we're going to keep this going for a little bit that way. So Joyce Field up or whatnot.
Yeah, it is.
It's been about 3 weeks,
I mean,
2 weeks ago, excuse me, on a Monday, 2 weeks ago. Yeah. She was airlifted to Norton's and then they're trying to start physical therapy there on Jeffersonville right now. So we get one thing solved down there and then something else that pops up.
Yeah, that's why it usually happens. Yep.
Speaking of that, RN, we are going to need to have someone come in to replace. And we don't know whether it's long-term, short-term, how long it's gonna be. So there was a question of where we find the
Can you come
funds.
up?
Oh,
Folks
yeah.
can see.
There was a question of where we could find the funds to pay the relief nurse for her position. So any suggestions or direction on where to go with that?
I said, I don't know why she can't be paid, or whomever is gonna replace her, not be paid from her salary right now. It's replacing her, even though we can't replace her, because her job has to be available to her if she comes back or whatever, but whomever they hire is gonna know that this is just a temporary thing as of right now.
And she has quite a few hours accumulated, so we'll be double paying for a while. So there's a possibility it could be running out of funds for that category.
Plus she's on short term. So that won't come out, that won't come from us.
Yeah.
I don't know, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's coming from me. I'm just-
Any other
But,
questions on
so I
that?
don't know if we could just talk about it later,
We
but,
just run out of money and then discuss.
well, no, I don't mean that. I'm just saying it's,
Their salary money
I
is
don't,
there.
yeah, the salary money is
Salary money
there.
is for somebody that has not been let go.
It's
She's
for that
had a
position.
medical
It's
issue.
for that
You
position,
can't, you
yeah.
can't borrow from,
The salary money's
it
for
doesn't
that
work that
position.
way.
And
Right.
when someone's
was for that
covering that
position.
position, then
Right.
the money's paid
It's
out of that
not-
position.
But that,
That salary ordinance isn't specified for a
Person, it's for a position.
person. It's not, that person is not named just that. This
It's
position.
the position.
Position.
So when someone's covering that position, they're paid out of it, it's fine.
Yeah. That would
Yes.
be
so
no
this
different
person
than,
is an
that would be no
active
different
employee of
than
the county.
Kathy replacing Carly. We
I
didn't.
don't think they have any money.
It's a temporary replacement that they're looking for.
It's just, we're gonna be double paying for a little bit. Until we pay up her
Do you
time
think
off
that-
or
May I
vacation.
make a suggestion?
She's gonna ask for that, her time off as well. And
Her vacation and sick, she's gonna ask for that, till it runs out.
Sure. So
That
you take-
shouldn't be paid. I would suggest you not pay out of that line,
Yeah.
that you transfer from that line to a temporary position line. Because being paid from that line is a full-time line and falls under the requirements of PERF. So if you get it into a temporary line, then there'll be no question why PERF wasn't spent on that salary and just,
But you
There's
can
money-
move it from that
you could
salary
transfer it, but
to the.
but it
temporary
would,
Create a new.
That
then
makes sense.
there would not be a question on whether there should be PERF being paid on that position,
Their benefits.
because it calculates against that number, so, pardon,
Their benefits.
All right.
So that's what you're talking
or
about.
any of their benefits, any benefits that she would qualify. If you're paying from a full-time line, I forgot you guys don't have
Yeah,
PERF, but if
we
you're
don't
paying
have
from a
PERF, but-
full-time line, then they qualify for benefits. So that means group medical insurance. So, if you move and pay them from a temporary line, then there's no question about benefits being,
So we still can use that money.
you can
It
use
just
the
has
money,
to
you
be
just need to
allocated.
transfer.
It'd be like a contractor position.
Yeah.
Almost.
Yeah.
You
Jack,
still have to
can
pay
they-
the social security, but
Can they do that within their departments or do we have to authorize?
most counties want to authorize, most councils want to authorize
It'll be
personal
like
services.
Is your creating
Transfers.
account?
A trans-
So how about Kathy, how about if you write it up and make the request? And I would agree with what Jack's saying, make another line and then do your best guess of what you think that's gonna be through the end of the year. I
Yeah.
hope this woman comes back.
Well, we're, in our minds, we're thinking the end of the year, you know,
Right.
see.
Oh, yeah.
Don't short yourself, so I would use the end of the year as your, as the
Right.
end, and then give us your best guess of what that's gonna
Yeah, because you'd have to make any transfer into that line next year in January, so. From the budget.
You have enough money to cover you for little one?
I'll have to calculate to see.
Okay.
Yeah.
And they
because that
haven't
was my
hired anyone
concern.
yet, so.
Yeah,
they've
we
been
haven't hired
2 weeks
anyone.
We're still trying to get the
So-
legalities of that.
It's just, we've only paid one payroll cycle for her, so I figure all that out too.
I'll have to- If there's not one
Just get a figure
there,
that over maybe the new line
I'll
item.
have to
Yep,
agree.
I think we could do that.
That'd be on the agenda for us.
No, I don't need that.
Any other questions on any of these line items? I gotta get out of the camera to make me look fat.
That camera makes everybody, yes. Okay, thank you, folks.
Thank you.
So, Lord, yes, Mr. Weaver.
Thank you. I wanted to present tonight to the council the 2 quotes for the copy machine for the extension office. I believe you have a Casera, which I think is $64.50, and you have a Copy Star, which is $72.95, I believe. So those are the 2 choices. That way, we've looked at both of the specs on both of those machines. We actually think the Casera, which is the cheaper version, will work just fine for our office. So that's the one that I recommend, but I'll present both those to you. So
So the less expensive one would be just fine.
we'll be just fine for what we need. Yeah.
Meets all the things. you
Meets all
need
the
to
needs we need, yep. It's just a hair slower, but that doesn't really bother us, so.
So, purchase options is $6,450.
Yep. Yep.
Discussion, thoughts?
The service agreement part on the last page, is that, we combined all that into the commissioners area, right? So that
Yes.
falls under their.
The commissioners pay all the maintenance.
deal.
Something we all need to make motions on, approve, and discuss.
Yes, it's a one-time purchase, not casino funds. I'll make a motion that we purchase the copy of
Second
the
that motion.
extension office.
I thought we'd done it, yeah, I guess I thought we already.
We told him to get quotes.
Yeah.
Did we?
Yeah.
Okay.
We told him to get quotes.
Okay. So I have a motion on the floor by Lisa. I would just want to go.
$6,450.
I was just gonna take them out, because I'm not gonna.
How did you say that?
I say it's Casera, which is pretty close. Yeah, Casera, yeah.
I'm gonna say it 3 times. So I have a motion on the floor for us to give the extension office for $6,450 for this Coursera printer. Motion made by Lisa, second by Matt. All in favor, please raise your hands. Got yourself a new printer.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, guys.
Before it goes up.
Yeah.
In the budget process, remember we found out how old the printer was?
Yes.
We knew it was coming.
Take it over to the museum.
Thanks,
Yeah, I imagine, just as labor like I have that. Yes. Okay.
Yeah, she just gave me those, so I
Okay.
mean, who needs?
Continue this, meeting,
See it.
Ms. Emily?
Hello. I sent all of the information that I had in an email, but essentially during our routine maintenance on our HVAC unit, they discovered that we have two of the 4 units need compressors and one also needs a fan. That totals about a little over $12,000. When I did talk to the technician, he said, you know, with the nature of things, if they replace it or they get in there and the new stuff is not compatible with the old, it could end up being more. But right now, usually we wouldn't ask for something so small. It's requesting $15,000 additional appropriation from our operating fund. But we are, you know, it's still got plenty of time left in the year for other things to go wrong. So rather than, you know, scramble at the end of the year, I'd rather be proactive and request early so that we can get that maintenance done in case there are additional costs that come along with that. We're also going to be purchasing a $10,000 to $12,000 server that is necessary, hopefully by the end of this year. So that's why I'm here to request.
Emily, did you get 2 quotes?
We did not. We had a maintenance contract with Comfort Systems, and that was the reasoning. We're not, under our policy, we're not required to get 2 quotes. It's just as many quotes as we feel is necessary.
That's probably right. It's a little bit twice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like on a park heating and air, you know, you've got your certain people that put it in, so.
Is it gonna avoid the maintenance agreement if we was to go out to use? That's what I'm.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not for sure on that one.
I didn't hear as much.
I don't know how the maintenance agreement reads, so it could be the term.
Are we required, she's coming to us for an appropriation. Are we required to get asked for 2 quotes?
Yeah.
No, we are not.
On the maintenance thing, I would.
Okay.
In normal circumstances, I would say yes.
I would.
2, maximum 3. And there's a possibility you're not gonna need this money, right?
Yeah, there's a possibility that, yeah, we might not, need it, but better safe than sorry. That's kind of what we thought.
Okay, so you're asking, it's for
Once it's
15,000?
appropriated,
Yeah.
they can spend it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
15,000. But
It's
Their own funds.
it's their money, not ours.
yeah,
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Sorry.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're right.
Yeah, that's how you can question that.
That's one.
yeah,
Motion to approve.
Yes.
She's requesting to spend her own money.
Yeah.
And you spend it wisely, right?
Yeah.
I
Yes.
saw the, deck out back, and all that. Is that gonna get caged in back there or not?
Not at this time. We're gonna be adding some more stuff. We want to add like a butterfly garden and a few
Okay.
other, things out there. We're still brainstorming on that, but
Okay.
yeah,
It looks nice back there. I
Oh,
don't
thank you.
Something you've done this job.
thank you.
All right. Well, we hear what Emily's needing. She's wanting to spend the library $15,000 their own money. So
I made a motion.
who made the motion?
Me.
Oh,
I'll second it.
Okay, you made a motion. Todd second. So Andy made the motion to approve moving your 15,000 to where you need it. Todd second. All in favor, raise your hands. Okay.
And do you guys have the resolution to
Yeah,
sign?
there should be one on the back of your paper.
Yeah, I got a
Do
question.
you need just one, or you want us all to sign our paper?
No, if you could just pass it around, she could do that.
And will you scan it, upload that, and send that to me? That'd be perfect. Thank you so much.
You didn't put-
I can, I'll send it, I'll email it to her.
What's the server? Oh, never mind.
We don't.
Okay.
I forgot they were.
Okay, so. Wait, so, and we got on the agenda that I wrote on there,
I've got something if you're waiting on John Bond.
John Bond, yeah, he's not here yet, so I'm gonna go ahead and
Transfers. Yeah.
move on to, Judge Coy's request of transfers. Here.
The transfer order 228 for office supplies, he is taking the money out, it equals 3,100 that he's taking out of various accounts of his and moving it into the office supply account. He's not asking for any more money or anything.
So it's coming out of those 4
Yeah, the
line items
storage
going
print,
to office.
These are all.
Yes, they're all in county general. So, and then, I mean, that one is. This is one I have.
Right, we need to do.
Right, yeah, as long as it's, yeah,
Right,
it's
so
the
again, he's
same.
So,
moving money again.
this
here.
one-
Yeah.
This 228 does not have to be advertised because it's coming out of,
Just transfer it.
yeah,
from one place to
and,
another.
and it's all within the county general.
So they really missed on their office supplies. They spent everything they had the year before, and we gave them 2,000, and now he's pulling in another 36, and seems like a lot of money.
Well,
But it's coming out of his, but.
It's coming
out of his
Other than the
budget.
2,000.
Okay.
But, I mean,
I'm sure it has to do with the changes.
for some reason, I'm over on my supplies too, and I know they
When you redid it, they're all
Yes.
everything.
Well,
put it
I mean,
back in.
this is for office supplies.
Yeah.
I want to bring up that his request for furniture, because that one makes no sense to me at all. If you don't have the money, then you should, why did they go ahead and buy it and then come to us with the bill?
Because that was part of the courthouse,
Renovation.
renovation when it
No.
was,
No, it wasn't.
that's what I was told that it
Well,
was.
who told you that?
He did, that was why the.
Just keep this.
Yeah,
Let's, all right, let's,
share,
let's get this done.
Because I'd like to-
Yes, it was
We're gonna
totally-
do these separately.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion to approve
Yeah.
transfer order 228
228.
of out of the 4 funds in the circuit court
Lance made a motion to,
Office supplies.
for the office supplies.
for the office supplies on 228. Do I have a second?
I'll say.
Who second? Mike? Mike second. All in favor of Lance's motion to approve this transfer order, 228? Raise your hands. That was done. And we'll sign this next week, or next
No,
month.
you can go ahead and sign this one now, because this one does not need to be advertised.
Yeah. Okay.
So on the second one, the 245, that is moving $1,073.81 from the supplemental public defender to the general fund, 4306 to the compensation pauper attorney appeal fund. This is one that does have to be advertised, and I gave you that, but I just
Not
wanted,
gonna move it.
no,
Okay.
We cannot move on this tonight.
right, it has to be advertised.
Be advertised. Okay. All right. Okay, we'll know next month. We'll address that one next month.
Yeah.
Right?
So if we can just finish that conversation about this, I'm just totally lost by the request for furniture. I know Gail's saying that it was in there, but that's not true, because commissioners in their budget use their monies, I believe, Jamie, you're here now. You guys use money to clean all the old furniture?
You're just.
Did you ever put in the budget to replace all the furniture that was in the courthouse?
The only
You'll have to.
furniture that was included in our budget that I, where I will remember is for new benches. And then it was like,
You can't move.
don't quote me on the number of chairs for the jury box as well as, the defendants, where you come in the courtroom. 16 chairs, I don't remember how many, but something to that effect. But all the, like the executive chairs and that sort of thing, we just had them cleaned.
So that's what's getting replaced, that I could see it wasn't in the budget from the court. They didn't put it in their
I
budget,
didn't remember.
using
getting
that
it
money.
clean.
and then they paid already to have it cleaned. But we've already purchased it.
Allegedly, they
How do
didn't
we,
clean up
how do
or
we
something.
purchase something without getting approval? And then send the bill to us to pay for it, and then go to commissioners, and
I
I know,
asked about the council. I don't know how Jamie found out, because I didn't tell him.
so
So nobody
but-
sent anything to.
well,
the
hold it.
commission.
I just want to make sure I'm understanding the process here.
So, and then
So the
Jamie brought it up and
commissioners,
we poked
they
it.
brought it up, and in theirs, they're saying, maybe we have enough money in the ARPA fund,
Mhm.
but we have to check and make sure we have enough money in the ARPA. Right.
We have one more bill.
But that's still a claim that the commissioners have to pay. It's not on any, they have to agree to pay.
Mhm.
But the bill is due next week.
I don't remember what it said on the bill. And
Next
I have
week.
it up on my desk.
Again, how do you buy something? How do you just go out and
I
buy
think the whole
stuff?
point was to buy it without knowing how it's gonna get paid for.
But I mean, if, in
Needs to
his
be-
mind, if it was ruined,
It
you
needs
know,
to
maybe
be
it didn't get
decided
cleaned.
before.
Heck, I don't know.
What was ruined?
The chairs, I'm saying maybe they didn't get cleaned properly. I don't know. The
They
books
gotta
and
clean the
stuff, I
ceilings,
know.
the desk and everything else that was up there. I mean, we didn't purchase new desks.
I would say it's a nice courtroom up there. You guys did a phenomenal job, getting it. I understand what Matt's saying too.
I'm not saying that the courthouse looks beautiful. I've gone through it. It does look beautiful. My point is, you can't, this could be something completely different, Randy. You can't go out and buy, you can't just, any budget manager just can't pick up the phone and say, I want my new car, and I'll send the bill. That can't happen. That's not a smack on the hand. That's not the way it's supposed to happen.
Not wasteful, yes. Shouldn't have.
So unless the commissioners are gonna pay for this, I would suggest you return the furniture. Because you already have the furniture. And the commissioners used money to pay for the furniture to be cleaned.
We've already paid for furniture we don't even have up there yet neither, so.
Was that
That was-
by the but,
Yes.
but did the commissioners also have that in their budget for the records?
Yes.
So
But
that's
so, I
completely
mean-
different, Gail.
Well,
This
I'm just
wasn't,
saying-
this
There
wasn't.
was a lot of things that weren't in our budget. They went over budget.
Yeah.
Yeah,
the
There's a
ARPA
lot of
thing
things
is-
that underneath this roof that require immediate
Okay, you're
decisions.
right.
And I'm trusting the judge's decision that if he
Oh.
needed chairs, he got them.
That's that's why they control the budget, Lance, not the judge. They control that budget. That's the whole point.
Okay,
They
this
control
falls
the
under the
budget.
ARPA funds.
Exactly.
That's because we're
These
trying to
things-
find
these
a
things
place
cost
to pay
the
for it. It should have been clarified.
It should have
before
been,
the
it
first
should have gone there.
That's
It
it.
just should have been clarified. That's-
You just don't go out and buy stuff because you think you need it.
It doesn't mean that he didn't need it. It
Didn't,
doesn't mean that it
exactly.
didn't need to happen. It just was done out
The
of
way it was
sequence.
done, yes.
It has
And
to
maybe
be
he
Gail-
decided.
maybe he has a backup plan and we're arguing about it, so.
I guess then maybe you ought to come in front of us. huh? Why, maybe that's
Leaving
what
for
happened.
vacation, but they-
I see what you're saying. It's basically, you're saying, hey, it's an unauthorized
It's
purchase.
like,
You can't do, that's not my rule, that's the rule.
No, I get that.
There's Jackie right there. You can't just go out and take money. These are IC codes on this,
Spend money
guys.
that's not appropriate.
Yeah,
Doesn't matter what,
it has to be asked for first before you do it.
Well,
Don't ask for it afterwards.
so we have a bill that we are paying that I don't know if we should be paying. And we bought furniture already that nobody said, go ahead and buy it. It's not in his budget to buy. It should have come from the commissioners.
It doesn't qualify under ARPA funds for fixing this.
Unless they say it does,
It might-
they're the only ones that control that.
Then they can have that discussion. I don't know why we're.
Because it came to us
I don't know why we're sitting here yelling. at each other.
I'm not yelling, I'm not yelling. All I'm trying to make sure is, I don't understand why it came to us to begin with.
it was to ask council, and that's what it was. It got brought up at the commissioners meeting.
3,600.
35, something, little over 3.
I'm sorry. And in the meeting, you didn't you state the judge told you if
He
if they don't
said
pay
that
for
if
it,
they
he's
don't
got the
pay,
money?
let him know. That's why I said. I'm not,
I just would like to think, we just should
we know,
not.
we're not paying for it, so let's move on to the next thing.
Improper procedure.
Well,
I also
That's
did
not your
too-
place to say that. It's not your place to say
Well,
that.
I know that,
I
but I'm
just
not
want to
gonna
make,
argue.
and I'm
with
done
you.
with it, but it's not appropriate to buy things, just to buy things.
Every time.
we caught, yes. It's noble, man.
Thank you.
You're right, it's noble. And I agree, so. So we're gonna move on from that. Okay. Board reports.
She had some.
Yeah,
Oh,
let you go.
okay, I'm sorry. I did not know she had. working on stuff.
You can do board reports, we'll come back to it.
Okay,
We did have a meeting today.
okay. I'll come back to you. I'll go around. We'll
Okay.
go around with the board reports.
We don't have one till the end of the month.
It's gonna be quick. As far as chiefs have not met, as far as I know, I've not got any calls. That's, no.
We had to cancel ours.
You guys, Miss Jackie.
This is pretty much what you got, except I have a little bit more information on it for you. Okay. After we got everything in Gateway, we are 277,577 over left.
That's not good.
277,000, how much?
We've been a lot worse, I think.
We've been a whole lot more times.
See, I've never been privy to that.
577.
So,
Okay, so I did a couple of things for you, and then I need, when I was working the budgets, I used the same numbers for gaming revenue into the funds, and on the right here, I have put the numbers that we appropriated in 23, I used them in 24 also. If you want that changed, we can up that. If you want it left the same, if you want it reduced, I can reduce it. But currently, this is what we're taking from gaming money, and putting it into those funds.
Where at?
Yeah, we're.
Right here. In county general, we put 295,000, wastewater's 25,000. The tech education center's 50,000, benefits is 2.25, and emergency medical is 300,000. That's currently the gaming revenue that we used in 23. And that's what I advertised in 24, and I want to make sure that's where you want it to be. If you want it lowered, then it could affect what we have to do with some budgets. The other thing I did for you is I took the current on this area, this is just county general. I took the current levy for county general, multiplied it by the growth quotient, 4%, and I added the miscellaneous revenue to it. And our new money in 23 for county general is right at 4.7 million. And we've got a budget request of 5.5. Now, understand, we never spend all the budget, and our revenues are underestimated for budgeting purposes. So the difference isn't that great when you get within levy. That's what I'm saying. We're 700,000. Take 300,000 away, we're at 500,000, spending more than what we anticipate taking in. That doesn't account for the more revenue and the less expenditures in that 18-month period of time.
So to make our budget work, we have to trim
300,000.
277.
Yeah, 277.
Okay.
Or 260, because I'm going to adopt around 15 or 20,000, but I'll put it in cash operating. This also leaves you,
What you're looking at is like 260 or 277.
I would adopt it. I mean, we can adopt it at taking 260 down. It would come out of the cash operating balance of county general. We're currently at $1 million. That's what I've budgeted with.
What do you say, 260,000 out of budget?
Now that's out of the general fund, the health fund, and reassessment. Those are the three that will affect the levy. I also have a $50,000 additional appropriation for health and 25,000 for reassessment that we probably won't use. Can drop off of that number. So,
I was pulling a little bit more, but is that,
pardon?
I was pulling a little bit more off of health than that. I was gonna try to take 80. Is that too much?
Well, the thing you got to watch is that levy at the bottom. We don't want to get that levy too low because we don't want it to go away.
No,
And
I don't
yes,
think
we
that's-
could, you can lower that. I mean, but if we take that down, we'd probably put it down in cash operating or a big portion of it, because we don't want that health levy to go much below that.
So.
Because we're gonna have to spend, remember, he said we have to budget at least 60,000 in 25. That's gonna be our minimum match, I believe he
so we
said.
cut it to-
So we don't want to get that levy down to where it then impacts in the future so far. And reassessment is also healthy. Their cash operating balance will be 100,000. Their budget's only 180,000. So we're better than 50% there. So those funds are in good shape, is what I'm saying, but I don't know that you want to take much away from those. Because you don't want that levy to get to where you're going to impact county general in the future. You don't want to crunch them too small. Where I see a little could be done is there's still 200,000 left out there in public safety lit at the end of next year. So is there 100,000 in either EMS in the general fund or the sheriff's department in the general fund that could go out into public service lit?
How do you end up with that much more?
Again, they don't spend, well, it's right here.
Yeah.
in the 18 months. They don't spend everything we budget. That revenue, that's guaranteed revenue coming in. So next year, public safety is gonna get $447,000. And we're only budgeting 415, and we won't spend 415 probably.
We put that new probation officer in there. That's 56 though, I think.
There's a deputy coming.
You're,
up there
you're closing your eyes, Matt.
or something.
I'm just trying to remember how. Sometimes, didn't we use this money for the spreadsheet that you used?
We're gonna use it for the increased salary.
Yeah,
for
I
the,
thought it was a part of
CEO.
everything that Lance helped them put together. And it,
Matrix?
yeah, I think 200 pounds.
So you're saying that this 400,000 that's appropriated isn't the right amount? Or this budget
For the
request
lit money.
for the lit?
It's just.
No, it should be those.
And we had, I mean, this is your food thought that we've got to get done by our budget adoption in October.
Over the,
Oh,
Now,
we
we
adopted
can't,
our meeting, if we adopted
we,
our meeting,
if
like-
we, let's, in the world, I'm showing 200,000 remaining in public safety at the end of next year. If you wanted to move 75,000 out of county general and put it over there, it would be an additional in January. But it still can be over there, and 75,000 is out of county, is reduced in county general to get in that levy. Unless, I mean, this is the way the numbers work. They have 200 left to, 266,000 left to spend this year, and they've got a balance of 223 just this year, with estimated revenue of another 234 coming in.
Well, but they had an officer resigning, that was getting paid out of there. So
And that will go in the cash balance. That's what I'm saying. We never expend the full thing we budget. That's why, and we purposely left some in there in the beginning to get us a cushion for what we needed. But I also thought they asked for one more. For some reason, I was thinking there was one more deputy added to that for next year.
I think Andy's right.
Well, we
Because
did-
he was paying it out of his, yeah, he was paying it out of his casino
He
funds,
said he had.
his deputy. He didn't get, he doesn't pay.
He was one too.
he
Because
hired
we
them.
weren't,
We
yeah,
were-
when he said we weren't gonna pay any more out of it.
He's paying for one out of his funds.
Well,
Or
you
out of
can,
casino.
in your
He paid out of
book,
his casino.
you should have a sheet that shows you what this 415,000 totals.
There's not in here.
You don't have a lit sheet in
Yeah,
there?
it's at the very back, tab 31.
I ain't got nothing in tab third, but
Um,
that's the only reason I said that.
Jackie, there's one line item that I think I'd like for you to look at if you don't mind. I talked to Gail about it. This one was the one that's $200,000, judge court, was back at
Right.
25.
Yeah, she talked to me about this,
Okay,
and what I told her is when you make your cuts, I mean, if this, there's always cuts. And there could be that we can take care of that in the total.
yeah,
Okay?
that's what I was hoping. I just didn't know if it,
Because you've got some salaries are in there extremely high,
right.
more than what you're gonna give. And so when you make your cuts, if we can't fix that, we can fix it in January,
Okay.
okay?
In my thing I was doing, I added that amount to the 277.
Oh, okay, no, we would not do that, we can't do that. Because
I'm saying,
we can't go over that.
right, but I mean, the amount we need to cut.
Oh, I got you,
You're
okay,
trying to cut some more so we get.
Yes.
so you can cover it, I got you,
So I was kind of going above and beyond.
right.
So you're
That's
adding,
why I was taking 80 out of health and I was taking 20 out of taking stuff from everywhere.
you added 180,000 to the 277.
So in theory,
But there's a couple of these other funds that have a higher cash operating balance and,
We need to pay more out of this lit thing.
well, we might be able to move that new probation officer over there. But see, with Archer resigning, I don't know, that might skew the numbers.
What?
With the sheriff deputy resigning.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, that's what you meant.
The sheriff came to us with a plan. He needed $36,000. That's all he needed for.
That was for, yeah, that was for the matrix.
New matrix.
Yeah, but
That's not,
everybody was paid for that he wanted there. He wasn't asking for anything. He was wanting $34,974. That's all he needed for his budget.
but, yeah, it's true, but he's in there with 23 other departments.
Above and beyond what he currently has.
And yeah, that's what he needed and that was for the sheriff and the jail.
Thank you. I don't have
That was for everybody that that's in his building covered. He needed, in order for the salary changes that he needed what he was doing was giving salary increases to the non-matrix people. The non-matrix employees over there. And
Who's that?
but the matrix, what was in there, he was needing $34,974.
There was a
We could pay that out of that money.
Like him and his chief deputy, and
It was for jailers and
there's 3 different.
Jailers are on Matrix.
no, they're not.
The jailers are on a matrix, but there's,
Jailers.
the matron's not, the jail commander's not, it's just the 9 jailers, or
My deputies.
10 jailers, 9 jailers.
Oh, jailers, oh,
They got their own, and communications, it's got their.
all right. So we need to set
So-
up a meeting.
Yeah, that was my next thing.
Oh,
Here is, so in order for us to be ready for you to adopt on the 11th, that's when your adoption hearing is, October 11th. We need for you guys to be done sometime the last week of September to give Gail time to enter your changes in, to give me time to work the 4Bs and verify that we are in budget.
You're saying we should be meeting by the week of the 25th of September?
Right, and that is AIC conference week. Anybody's going. But it's
They had their conference.
They want.
we have it that time of year every year.
That makes a whole hell.
Go, I'm not gonna go this time, I usually.
This is more important right here, so.
It's a lot of good information.
Sure is. I'll learn
The
something.
workshops are really good this year.
Where's it at?
French Lick,
Actually,
yeah,
like a 1-day conference, 2-day conference.
it's 2 day.
If we do it the first part of like October 2nd, if we meet on October 2nd, you could still, you're gonna be at the conference all that week.
I am, but you gotta give Gail time, yeah. I don't particularly want to work the weekend to get it done.
No,
So, if you give Gail updates as you go and she could stay ahead of it.
okay,
I really would like to have the stuff by the 5th.
okay.
I don't want, because I don't want to rush and I'd like not to work every weekend this year.
Usually around.
Last year I worked just way too much. I didn't set dates and
I mean,
by the time budgets were over,
mid-morning, what we want to do.
I was exhausted.
You want to work all evening.
Early. Yeah.
5:30, on the 19th. That's a Tuesday. We start later and make it all nighter. I don't.
Well, and one thing
I'm not gonna be here, I'm gonna give you a call.
We'll be here 19th.
About next week.
Yeah, what about next
19th
week?
doesn't work.
19th don't work.
as long as I can have it by the 5th. If I can have it by noon the 5th,
What do you think, Gail?
I don't mind working late in the evenings. I just don't want to work all weekend again.
We want to make sure we get this done, get it right. So, I mean, it's, again, I'll do whatever. Anytime during the 25th, 29th, I don't care. I just want everybody involved if possible,
I'm open on the 25th and 29th, so those days.
Are you thinking evening, thinking morning?
Well, like Lance says, he don't want to take vacation. I honestly don't either. I don't know how long this will take, but we can do it we can start it at 5:30 or something like that. Give it enough time to get home, get something to eat, maybe, have to work, all that, and we'll get in here and start crunching this.
Couple of suggestions. If you start with the larger budgets first, to see where you are, and if you make a determination up front of a possible what you want salaries to be, you'll know how much is coming off just there.
Just
I mean-
salaries by increases, because I did that today. I did that today, what I thought salaries, and I did like a percentage on a raise. And that was a staggering amount of money.
It's over budgeted.
That's over budgeted.
Yeah.
That's advertised over.
I mean,
So
that's
just
pretty-
trimming those parts off first.
Which, that's where I think a lot will be.
It's a lot, $161,000 worth.
I mean, we were seeing some of like 12%.
Yeah, they're.
Yeah.
That's where we need to start.
I also think I think you need to look at either moving another deputy out of the sheriff's department into lit, or something into lit, because we need to get closer to, we need to stay as close to possible as we can to that amount coming in.
If we would run,
And I'll talk to, all the lit money goes for sheriff's. expenses. So I'll talk to Sheriff Morning about what he sent us and then that exact. I know they did have-
And maybe it's not a person, maybe it is an item
I
that,
didn't want to spend all the lit money on the sheriff's department.
no,
I
but
mean, I wanted to
Good show,
go to SER also. I wanted to split that. I was trying not, I was trying not to spend every dime of the lit in one
well,
spot.
and you could do
It's
that.
for public
pay a
safety.
salary up there.
You could pay a salary out of SER, but that doesn't come out of the general.
That doesn't go to general fund, that doesn't help us. I mean,
That's,
it helps them, it doesn't help us with our fund.
okay.
But we could do the judge, communications, jail, all those qualify. So I just need to verify. I know he did have a guy resign, it was getting paid out there, so I think he backfilled it, but I need to see
I mean, there,
what's left.
and that's one you can look at. Their budget request in comparison to their revenue coming in is what is half. I mean, their budget request is 1.1, their revenue is 600,000. So,
The sheriff's.
no, that's the ambulance. That's SCER, right? That's what it
I was gonna ask you about all that after we talked about the general fund stuff, but on your spreadsheet here, where they stood with what they are requesting.
I added them to your last column. I don't know that they were on there before.
They weren't. That's changed so much from what it used to be. It used
Well-
to be $400,000.
And I'm not a proponent of an increase, but there is that new emergency ambulance lit money that was passed this year.
Yeah.
That can be up to 0.2% and all goes to EMS. It doesn't go out to the other units. I mean, we're too late this year, really, to do it, but it's something to think about.
But you're showing on here that what they advertise is good. I mean, as far as. You're
No,
showing-
they're 100,000, they're 100,000 short.
Oh, that's line 10 down here?
Yeah,
99.
line 10 has to be negative.
Okay, I'm with it.
So local road and street and the ambulance are over requested.
And reassessment.
No, now, in the levy funds, they can be positive. It's just those that don't have a levy, your highway, local road and street, lit and EMS.
You have to be in the negative.
Those, yeah, that line should be in the negative. The others can be in the positive because you're adding revenue to it. Tax revenue.
And that's requested. That's the requested.
Yeah, this is the requested budget.
Same as Bowman.
And you just take the lit money that we're way under here and throw it over towards the emergency ambulance and
You can't throw it over there. You can budget for some
Yeah, you can
emergency
budget it.
ambulance.
I get what you mean, but that doesn't help our general fund any, but it does that fund. And for me, I want to spend some of that money on the EMS. I don't want. it all to go into one spot.
Currently, you're getting 447,000 and they budgeted 415. I have no idea whether this is public safety led. I have no idea if what they've requested is all going to be granted, but there's about a $30,000 difference between what's being requested and the revenue coming in.
I mean,
We got to figure out meeting.
why don't we just do 2 weeks from same time? Just hash it out, that was that night,
That would be the
27.
27th.
I'll go with that.
We'll make about 5:30, give everybody a chance, to get off work, get cleaned up, whatever. Works for you, Mike? 5:30, 27th, Matthew?
So your date for me is October.
5:30 is
Yeah,
the earliest.
that's just gonna shoot me going
How about
conference.
28? I can do the 28th.
You do 28, how about 28?
Yeah.
28.
It's a Thursday.
It's a Thursday. I want everybody here to talk, okay? 28, 5:30, Matt, Andy, Todd,
It's up to Tom. Good, you good, man?
5:30.
5:30, 28. Meet down here.
Why 5:30?
It just gives us a little bit more time to get off and work, this and that, right?
Gives you an extra half.
Gives you extra half hour to get here on time, get cleaned up, you might have rest.
Problem is I go to bed at 9.
Well, hopefully we're done with that.
I go to bed by 9. With or without food, I go to bed.
5:30,
I know, you said this before, but on the health fund, I'm hung up on the health fund again. After what his Doc Finley's plan is, do you feel like we shouldn't take anything out of that?
Out of the budget,
Yes.
I mean, I'm not saying that. I'm saying you have to budget the average of the last 3 years, whatever that amount was. And last week I could have told you before the September 1st deadline, it showed us on the website, but it's gone now. But if you look at the budget for the last 3 years, not counting this year, and average it, that's the amount that you have to budget for health in 24.
Okay.
And no, I'm not saying not reduce it. What I'm saying is watch that bottom line down there, that levy line of 86,000. I wouldn't take it down much more than 10,000.
Is that, I was just gonna ask you, so how far would you go? So 10,000 is the max you put out?
That's the max I would go down, because it's gonna come back and bite you in the future if you do.
Yeah, I didn't want to, after talking the first time, I felt good about that. After hearing him talking and again, now
So I wonder,
And next year, we should free up a little bit.
should we just stay away from that line completely, you think?
Not if you need $10,000. I mean, they have a cash operating of 202 or 200,000.
And then I thought about, because we usually, on that additional appropriation, I think we usually have.
We can wipe those out. But it's gonna go into the cash operating balance. Let's say we wipe it out and you cut nothing. If we leave that line at 86,000 for collection, that cash operating balance is gonna be 252,500. Or if you take it down to 10,000, it's gonna be 242,500.
And what about over in the general where it's 120 for the rest of the year? Is that?
I thought somebody needed something. That also can make up for the judge to be appropriated next year for that
Right.
mistake in his budget.
I'm kind of adding that in with the 277, so I'm,
But you don't have to. If this isn't being used, it's right, the biggest part of it's right there,
yeah.
okay?
Yeah, that's the money we need for the rest of the year.
But that means you can't do any additionals the rest of the year.
Yeah, I don't want to set us up.
That's fine.
Scenario.
Can't do that.
Which didn't help.
No.
But it doesn't have to be 100,000. But if you leave that 100,000 there, that makes up part of it. that you'll be able to additional appropriate in January, because that'll roll forward into the cash balance what you don't use.
I'm probably gonna write down, I'm probably gonna write down 20 out of that.
Of additional appropriation.
Under the general, third one down.
I'll probably do 10 out of health and 20 out of that additional, just to give us.
But if you go to those big ticket items, your big departments and start, you very well could find the vast majority. And again, if we get to a place where you just can't find anything else in next year, we've got this year. Was there anything in the general fund that was appropriated that's not going to get spent this year? It's really the only one that's going to impact you, but because the other two aren't that large. But you have that if you need it, like,
Yeah, what I did, I made a bunch of cuts and took out the extra rating of the, and I got actually down below the number. What I'm hoping to do is add a little bit back for the new maintenance for the sheriff's department. Not what he's asking, but somewhere in the middle, and then finish about 10,000 over. Is that what you said, like to be finished about 10,000?
we'll want to adopt at 200, we'll want to adopt with about 10 to 20,000 over levy.
Okay.
And no matter what you get to, I'll add to the cash operating balance to get up to that overage.
No, I thought this used to be.
We can do it.
It is fun.
You just-
At least I think. the biggest-
Hey, I can
is
remember
that
Randy
big
walking in
stuff's
here
okay.
and we had to cut $1 million.
Yes, that's what I heard. I mean, I've only been, this is my third year.
Yeah,
That's not
It's
hard to
been
get
easy
there.
peasy.
yeah, this is not hard to get there.
Okay.
Like you said, Lisa probably found a bunch of it in the
Right.
salaries.
And there's.
And
at
that's
least
what I
three
told Gail.
departments that are asking for additional
People.
people that. Yeah. So that, if I added that up, that was another 105.
Now, you have, I think this is the county where your recorder's office has one that's always been paid from the perpetuation
Yeah.
fund.
That's us.
Perpetuation fund is gone.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's gone.
But we advertised it.
God.
It's gone. It won't fund her. But we advertised it in the general fund to give you guys the option.
I thought you meant it was going away. That's why. I said-
No, it's, the balance is gone. The cash is gone.
Oh,
But she is advertised in the general fund.
Yep.
I
She
wanted to
was.
make sure that
Yeah.
the position didn't get eliminated because it didn't get advertised.
So her salary's advertised in the general, so that's the
The
30.
whole salary?
Yeah.
That's one of the three.
Let me,
Yeah. We added it to the general fund so that gave the county the option to do what they wanted to do. It's advertised, I think, both places.
okay.
And it
'cause
won't-
In her book, it's not listed because
How long ago did you get your book?
it's the salary right here was 0 on it, but you advertised it as her salary.
Yeah, we put it in at the last minute.
So that's 30.
When I worked it in, it didn't fund in the other.
That is tabs 18. No, take it back. That's one behind 17. So that's $37,000 that's advertised.
Plus
That's-
benefits.
She said she could split it last year.
Maybe. One thing we have to watch about the perpetuation fund is they were thriving there for a couple of years and now they're not because mortgage rates are up. So there aren't as many mortgages being
I think
recorded. House sales are down, so there's not as many documents being recorded.
I think, and she purchased some equipment and things for, preserving documents that could have been.
But that's what the fund is actually supposed to be
Right,
used for.
but we could have helped, I think, on some of that, and not run her so slow.
We did it, they split part of it.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't know it was gonna go slow, she didn't pay the salary. It was kinda-
I am available by email and telephone. I may not answer you immediately. My number is 765.
I'm sorry.
765.
You want that on recording?
You don't want that on record.
Yeah, sounds good.
They got the-
The email.
It's out on the web.
I have it.
It's already out.
What, give your office number? I thought you were giving your cell number.
Thank you. Okay. All right.
I don't want to answer it. I don't.
So we're good.
And if I don't answer you immediately, please leave me a message. I'll get back to you as soon as I can, especially that week.
Well, we might be calling 911. So,
We can do this.
and maybe Mr. Weaver be down here with the, upper extension.
I really don't think your chore is as difficult as you think it is.
Yeah. Okay.
I think we've been in a lot better shape. I really would hope that we wouldn't take that cash operating balance below $1 million. I'd like to even see it be a little more than that, because I think we adopted at 1.2 maybe last year. So I'd really like us not to go below $1 million, and then kind of fan out what happens with like the health fund and other things, but
We got our motion orders, 9:28.
Thank you very much.
Oh, yes, Jackie. Thank you for everything.
you're most
Uh,
welcome.
Thank you for putting me through that 3 times things twice tonight, so,
I did not know about the township, or I had you do them at the same time.
yeah, that's,
As long as they have that, put it in your little memory bank, you'll have to do that. So if they still have
You do it every year.
family, even one member on that fire department is related or on the board, then they'll be coming in, and just know we can do them at the same time.
hope everybody heard that. Yeah, okay.
Because I don't know that my memory will remember.
Oh, I'm mush right now, so, all right, well, I do appreciate you coming down here and helping all of us again with everything. So is there anything else from anybody here? Audience? Audience looks thrilled back there tonight, so, all right. Council members, anything else tonight?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Well, I have a motion from Lisa to adjourn. Andy second that motion. All in favor of adjournment? Getting adjourned.
Who seconded?
Andrew.
So you can tap your shoes together 3 times.
No, I'm
Go
not-
home.
well, we need to shut that off before I tap my shoes 3 times. Because that'd be 3 times.
I was just putting a motion down there for it.
If you know how to shut
I
that.
didn't know how to turn it
Yeah,
off.
you got her, Jamie? Here's the hand, sir.